Hi, my name is Seyi Adisa. I am the Honorable Member representing Afijio State Constituency at the Oyo State House of Assembly. Afijio is a local government in Oyo State and we have over 200,000 people. So I'm the representative in the House of Assembly. So my story into politics, how I got into politics, from a young age, I felt God wanted me to come into politics. And what do I mean by that? It was an impression on my heart. I didn't know where it came from. I don't have anybody in politics in my family, but I sensed it very strongly, and that conviction really moved me to start taking some actions. So when I got to SS1, I chose art subjects. I didn't go for sciences. One of my subjects was government and politics. When I went for A-levels in London, I chose politics as one of my subjects. I researched. I saw a lot of political leaders had law as a background, so I decided to study law as well. I did law over there and law school over there. I wanted to become a commercial lawyer, and the aim was to work in law for a bit, and then whenever God opens the door, I will move into politics. And so I did that in the UK, came back to Nigeria, did law school in Nigeria, worked in one or two firms, then started my own practice. But in 2011, I got a call that the then governor, Senator Abiola Ajimobi of blessed memory now, was looking for a principal private secretary, and I was asked to send in my CV. Put the story short, when God is involved, I went through a rigorous process, had interviews with KPMG and all of that, and I got appointed in the midst of many other people that were more experienced, but he was willing to give the young ones a try, and that was how I entered into politics in September 2011. At the time I was 27 years old, just a few months before my birthday, and I have grown over the last 9 years in politics, in governance, in public administration. I have been mentored, I've been tutelaged, and I'm happy now to share a lot of the knowledge I have gained to encourage a lot of people into politics. My passion is development. I believe the biggest problem we have is development, and that's across sectors. So in education, in health, across infrastructure. And I believe that my role is to use politics, which is the biggest platform, to solve these development problems. And what do I mean by that? When you're talking about development, you're talking about development of people, or you're talking about development of communities. If you want to talk about people, you're looking at how do you get them better? How do you develop their skills? How do you develop their person? How do you develop, their orientation? Unemployed youths was to get a skill acquisition program. One of the beneficiaries, I'll never forget her, Bilikis from Fiditi. She was 16. She had a child at the time, and her mom used to say, oh, she has to give her money every day. And the mom herself was a single mother that didn't have a job. She was trading. But after that program, she learned the trade, and she started, she was in leather works. She started selling slippers, so she was making 2,000, 3,000 a day. And the joy was the fact when she started telling me she was now giving her mom money as well. That for me, is the reason why I'm in politics. We don't lack talent in Nigeria, we lack opportunities, and the role of government and government officials is to try and create these opportunities for people. So development of people. Then when you talk about communities, I've been heavily involved in facilitating development, from transformers where they have no light to boreholes and wells in certain places. In the schools, we've tried to rehabilitate classrooms, and even in terms of developing the students, we've trained teachers, we've given the students qualitative knowledge in terms of brain boosters. We've given them quantitative items in terms of bags and books and uniforms. In the health sector, we've created health mission, again, to develop them. And we've worked on some primary health centers. In fact, the primary health center being used as the COVID center in Oyo State for Oyo Zone was a project I facilitated, and that is now the COVID center for the whole Oyo Zone, COVID isolation center. So for me, it's really development. That's why I'm here. Politics must solve these challenges we have across sectors, because politics cuts across sectors, and that is what I want to be known as, the politician that brought development into his space and into every area I contributed in. Well, so my most significant achievements in this regard, I want to look at it from two angles. The first angle is results. You know, as I said, using the story of Billy Case in the last question, is that you know, when you're now starting to see communities being developed. I mean, one of the communities we gave a transformer to, you know, they hadn't had light for almost 2 years, over 18 months, and imagine the joy on their faces. You know, these are basic requirements. It should not be a thing of joy that at this 21st century people have to walk or are just getting boreholes or water in their taps. You know, in one of the villages in Awe, they tell me they walk almost a kilometer to get water. It's saddening, you know. So for me, if you ask achievements for me is being able to change these lives and these communities, and there is no greater joy than to see people coming through and saying, thank God, God used you to help us here. Thank God, God used you. And you know, I always say it, the constituents are not asking for much. They're asking for what government should do. So one of my achievements is results across sector in education. We're changing the face of education in Afigio with the students, the teachers, and the infrastructure. In the infrastructure part of the town, we're very keen on getting water, potable. Access to water must not be an issue in our time. So we're digging wells, we're doing boreholes, we're trying to get water across. And electricity, we've shared over 5 or 6 transformers. And one of the things I always tell people, I'm not an executive, I'm a lawmaker. A lawmaker has 3 roles. He has lawmaking, he has oversight, that's to check on the executive, and he has representation. However, because of our environment, representation is the highest need. The demands are so high because it's like there's so many deficits in that area. So even though we could say, oh, we're just lawmakers, I believe where you can add value, don't say because my title says I'm a lawmaker, I won't do that. You try. And I mean, I've been in government for 8 years. I have the experience. I understand what it takes. So I'm able to bring things to my community. I'm able to partner with, you know, private sector, with civil society. I'm able to partner with the diaspora to bring things to my community. So I'd say that's a major achievement for me. You know, I'm happy when my communities are happy. And the second thing is, now I'm raising another generation of political leaders that have similar mindsets, people that want to make a difference, people that want to see change. What do I mean? One of the people that worked with me during the election came to me a few days ago, a few weeks now, and he said, "Oh, guy, I want to contest in my own local government, which is in Osun State." And he said, "You know, you've been teaching us development, politics of development, and now I think I'm ready." And you know, I was looking at him, but there was a joy in my spirit that, you know, he wants to go into politics for the right reasons. He wants to bring development. And I think that for me is key. We're creating leadership classes. We're creating development classes. We're having political shows and podcasts just to enlighten people and get people to actually know that there is no mystery there. Christians need to get into politics and young people need to get into politics. So, you know, talking about values and principles, this is such a fundamental question because I think it's at the heart of everything. You know, principles are the same everywhere in the world, whether you're in London or in America or wherever. The principle, gravity and things like that work across board. So the principles that have helped me is the ability to see yourself as, you know, you can't do things alone. I'm very big on collaboration. I have a team spirit. I have a team spirit. And in my team I have many people that play many things. When they talk about Seyi Adisa is not a person, is a group of people. They make me who I am, by the grace of God. My wife, for example, is a major part of my team. She's a huge support system. She's my chief motivator. She pushes me on. Sometimes in politics, the environment is rough and it's challenging, and people are openly opposing you, even though you're doing the right things. But you need a support system that your company that you go back to and will motivate you to keep going. I think those are some of the things you must build when you go into politics. You will have peer pressure in politics, whereby people are saying you should do this and do that, and you're going to have a rough environment, because the environment is the world. They said we are in the world, we're not of the world. These are things that you're going to face. So you need a good support system that can help you. A lot of things I do now is because I have somebody in communications, I have somebody in admin, I have somebody in community mobilization. I have people that work with me that make my job easier. Another principle that for me is critical is learning. You don't know everything. I suffered a lot when I started at 27, coming from the private sector as a lawyer from London, from this. I thought I knew everything, and even if you know everything, you can never do everything alone. So you have to have a teachable spirit. You have to be willing to learn. I learned maybe the hard way to start with. It was one of those days I will never forget, because my role was the admin guy in the governor's office. So if you miss his appointment, he will miss that occasion. If you miss something so important, the governor misses everything, and so you're carrying the load on your head. So you must understand that you must be willing to learn, you must have a teachable spirit, you must be willing to work with people. In terms of values, I believe values are so critical, because your values will keep you ahead of time. And I'll explain what I mean. For me, we must have godly values, and godly values of honesty, of integrity, of not willing to compromise. When I was running for elections in 2018 going into 19, as a lot of people have heard in our environment, there are loads of diabolical things people do. And at the beginning they started offering us, come and do this, come and do that. I remember one woman that came to me, and in fact I just come out from a church. I had spoken to some people, and I came out, and the woman met me, and she said, there's something I need to do. And I was like, what is it? Because she's a community leader, and she said, there's, in the evening I need to come back, there's a calabash we need to carry to Orita, an intersection. And I looked at her like, are you joking? But thank God we had kept our values in check. There were certain things we were not going to do, and at the end of the day, when elections came, this same woman we thought was for us was against us. So I always tell my team members, imagine we wanted a do or die issue, we must do everything to win, and you carry the calabash. You may have been carrying your destiny somewhere else. So you have to have godly values, and it will help you overcome temptations before they come. The other thing your values will do for you is that it will make people sort of know who you are. So I started hearing things like, the boy is a pastor, he will not do it. He's a pastor, he will not do it. But that for me was good. It meant they understood who I was and what I stood for. And that for me, you must have values. Your values will keep you from temptations. In fact, some things they will not even bring to you. They will not even tempt you with it, because they know who you are. And I think it's important that as we go into politics, remember these values, because for me, these values have helped me and have kept me. Challenges that confront young Christians, and I'm not just sure if it's just young Christians, I think it's Christians generally. We've for too long said politics is dirty, politics is for certain type of people, and so Christians have shied away from politics. They said, we don't want to be involved, and that's why we keep getting the wrong people in the position of authority. Unfortunately, what people don't realize is that these people will determine our future. Politicians, people in government like myself, the laws we pass, the policies we make will affect everybody, both Christians and non-Christians. And so you cannot afford to say, oh, because it's dirty or because it's this, you will not go in. In fact, the more Christians that go, the better, because then we can become light where there is darkness. Then we can start to make changes. Then we can start to make a difference. And the more of us go into the system, the more of us we can fight the system. I think, it is critical. I remember a message by Mensa Otobil in the Corridors of Power. And you come to realize that from outside, there's not much you can do. You have to get into the corridors, and it's when you get in there that you're able to make changes. Righteousness exalts a nation. Sin is a reproach. When the righteous are in power, the city, the nation will get better. And so, one of the things I always want to tell young Christians and Christians in general is that we need to get in. We need to take a place, and it starts from the parties, because in Nigeria the party system is how we run. We don't have independent candidature, so we need more Christians getting into the parties. People will say, oh, but the parties are dark, they are this. The more light we bring there, the more we're going to try and change the system. So that's my encouragement. I want more people to get into politics. So inadequacies by youth in my field, I believe we, the young ones, were in a hurry. We're in a hurry to be rich. We're in a hurry to do so many things. And you see, the way life is in seasons. And that's the honest truth. I like to say it, this is one of my quotes, that if you shortchange the process, you're going to truncate the results. If you shortchange the process, you're looking for shortcuts. By the time the result comes out, it's going to be truncated. I say this because I remember, when I got into government, the governor, Senator Ablaze at the time, believed in the youth, because it wasn't just myself. I mean, I may have been the youngest at the time, but there were other young appointees as well in office. But you come to realize that we want to do, we want to make it quickly. Your hands will not be clean. So I feel that a lot of young people that come into politics must be willing to learn. I submitted myself to mentorship for 8 years. I was learning. I knew I was going to, I told you the story. I always knew I was going to go into governance. But in 2011, I acted as if I knew nothing, and I started learning, and I started learning, and I started learning to where I got to. And then when it got to 2018, I got the conviction that I could step out. Do you understand? And that was why I contested for election. So imagine me coming out in 2015 saying I'm ready now, or you have to go through the process. And those that are even appointed, they need to understand that politics is not I've entered it, so where's the money, and it causes a lot of issues, a lot of challenges. Go through the process, please learn, because it's a long journey, especially when you feel this is your call. For me, I say politics is a ministry. It's a place where I want to shine light. It's a place where I want to raise other light bearers, torch bearers that will make a difference to our community and our nation. So please go through the process, go through the system, and then when you're there, you're able to change the results that we want to start to see. Failures, I think I already started talking about that. When I came in, there was this air of, I had been through interviews. I was a distinction student at law school. Even in Nigeria, I came out with a 2-1. There's this air of, we're intelligent. We understand this thing. But, as I said, I had situations where, because I didn't understand public sector, and coming into a system where the governor has his ways of doing things, I totally flopped, to be honest. I remember him missing a very important appointment because my administration was not on top of it, and that was a big issue. I remember many issues that I faced early on. It affected me. As I said, when somebody misses an appointment, it may not be a big deal. When the governor of a state misses an appointment, it's a big deal. There is a big difference. So even though I was not the governor, I was carrying his load. I was making sure that he was as effective as he could be, and that was a big issue for me, and I had to come out of it. At a point I was like, am I sure? They talk about imposter syndrome. Am I sure I can do this thing? How am I going to do it? But I grew out of it. Yes, we make mistakes, but the Bible talks about righteous falling sometimes, but we get back up. And I encourage myself and like, look, you must have faith in yourself. The governor that selected you out of so many people believes you have something, and more than anything, you have God on your inside. And I always remember when so many things happened, I would remind people, and I'll tell people, they was like, Seyi, you want to go on holidays. Politicians don't go on holiday. Before you go and come back, somebody may have taken your seat. I'll say it's not possible. God put me here. Only God can take me out of here. So those early failures shaped me. So I kind of understood, as I said earlier on, the need for a teachable spirit. The need to be willing to learn. Sometimes you have to stoop to conquer. You have to be humble. You have to be diplomatic in the industry, and then when you have the ability, then you can cause change. So I think that failure really shaped me. Those early, and I say it so easily now, but imagine an event where the governor doesn't turn up because he doesn't even know, and it's because of the failure of some boy in his office that hasn't gotten things right. So it was good I made these failures early. It helped me to reshape the way of handling matters, and even my strength and resolve in government. It really helped me. Balancing your career, define world corruption. I think you have to let people know where you stand very early on. And which goes back to the issue of values. If you value your family, at a point people will know he doesn't play with his family. Oh, where is he? Oh, he's with his family. They kind of know you. You build a reputation. Similarly, during the campaign, as I said earlier on, after a while, people started saying, don't go to him. The boy will not answer you. He's a pastor. I never told anybody I was a pastor or anything, but because those that had come to meet me had gone back to tell others that this one will not play ball, he will not do the things. So I remember a few days before election, somebody came to me and said, they used to call me barista then. Barista, you've done so well, you've done this, you've worked hard, but this life is not always like that. There are sometimes you work hard, but people will not like you. So I need to take you somewhere. They will blow some things into the air. When they blow it into the air, everybody will start liking you. And I remember looking at the man. I didn't even know the answer to give him, because he, in the same comments, was telling me, I know they said you will not do it, but I just said I should advise you. So I was looking at like, oh, so you came knowing they said I will not do it, but you came anyway. But anyway, as God will have it, we didn't have to compromise. And because of that, we're in office today without having to run to anybody every 6 months or every 3 months to go and renew anything with anybody, and so you must be able to have strong values. Values will keep you, it will shape you, and it will help you. So in terms of balancing work life, the first 8 years, the honest truth is I didn't have a life. I lived the life of my boss. I remember one December 26, we woke up the day after Christmas and I got a phone call, and the call was like, please book a flight. We have to travel tonight. And my wife was listening because I put it on speaker, and she was looking at me like, I'm not sure I heard what I just heard. Like, this is Christmas season, and I'm getting a call saying that book the flight, we have to travel tonight. How can you plan? And so that was very difficult for me, if I'm totally honest. But now, as an elected member, I control my time. Things are, and my team know what I stand for. They know, family is important. They know excellence is important. They know some of my values, so they try and keep within those values. They know time is important. They know honesty is important. So they keep within those values that I set out. And in some cases, they make those decisions by themselves based on my values. So they say, don't worry, don't give it to Oga. Oga will not, because those values have I've also influenced them, and they kind of know where I will stand even ahead of time. And I think that's a good way to balance things. People must know where you stand. It is critical, and don't be ashamed of it. I remember 2014 or 13, somebody came into my office, governor's office, and saw my Bible on my table and was wondering, Seyi, are you bringing your Bible to the office? Like, like I should have been hiding it. And I'm like, no, Bible is on my table, is on the left-hand side somewhere. I read it in the morning and I left it there. And it was like, in governor's office? Like you should be hiding it, you should. And I'm like, no, let people know. Let them know, so that we make things clear. So I think it's important to let people know your values, and your values will help you when those decisions become tougher and tougher. Your values will help you stay where you should be. People that want to take this political journey, the first question I always tell people, and I said in one of my recent podcasts, is people before position. I always like people to ask themselves why. Why do I want to come into politics? Because from my experience over the last 9 years, people come into politics for different reasons. People come for fame, people come for power, people come for the prestige. Some people come for money. They believe that it's a money treasure or national cake, and I'm going to have my own beats. Some come because they have no jobs. So you need to ask yourself why. Politics is about people. It's about service. And if you don't come for the right reasons, you will be frustrated. You will lose everything. You will throw everything away. Your name, your everything, and that is why it is important to know why you're going into politics. Forget, my uncle said I should do it, my auntie, why am I going in there? Politics is about serving people. And so why is always my first question. You have to be sincere. You have to ask yourself those questions. If people from private sector are appointed into public sector, some of them run away. They say, I can't do it, because their why sometimes is not strong enough. And there's only one thing that we're sure in this life is change. If you change will come. So you're going to face challenges. You might start off rosy, but you face challenges. And so when those challenges come, if your why is not a strong why, if you don't have the conviction, you're going to turn back, or you're going to compromise. I said it earlier on that from a young age I knew. So I was convicted. And when the campaigns were getting tougher and tougher, and we had opposition and people within your party betraying you and so many things, I had friends that were also campaigning and also running for office. And I remember one telling me, Seyi, I'm tired. It's not by force. I'm not doing this thing again. And I realized that, well, you were never really supposed to come here, because I know the reasons why you wanted to get into office. So when the pressure became too much, was telling me, Seyi, I'm not doing again. But for me, the more the pressure came, the more it seemed I felt I had grace to overcome. I'm not saying it was easy, but let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. And I've been in office now for over 15 months, and it's the same mindset. Let's just keep going. I'm in opposition, I'm this, I'm that, but let's just keep going. Let's keep trying to make a difference. Let's keep trying to serve people. So it's very important. You need conviction. I'll just name a few C's so that people can remember. Your conviction, your commitment. You have to be committed for the long haul. You have to be. It's not something that, let me just try and, be committed to the process. Join the party. Be ready to attend ward meetings. Be ready to do things. Politics too is like an industry. There are things people are expected to do. Join the parties, be involved. Your courage. You need to be courageous. Joshua, they kept telling Joshua, be strong and courageous. Now I understand why. Because you're going to sometimes stand alone. And you're going to have to be courageous and say, this is my stand, and I'm going to be able to stand no matter what everybody else is saying. You have to be strong and courageous. So courage is something about that. Then compassion. You have to have compassion for people. You have to have people at your mind. Everything you do. When coronavirus came, we've never had it before. So I didn't come into politics with a template like Christmas, you do this for people. Easter, you do this for people. Ileya, you do this for people. I didn't come with that. I came with the mindset of whatever my people will need, I need to be able to meet their needs. So when coronavirus came, and it's never come before, compassion was what was leading my decisions. So from when we did the food bank to where we did face masks, it was out of compassion for the needs of the people. So compassion is something that needs to help you in your journey. The last thing I'll say is collaboration. You have to be willing to work with people. one is too small a number to achieve greatness. That's John Maxwell that said that. So when you're in this industry, be willing to work with people. A lot of the successes I've had is because of my team and the people I'm collaborating with. I've had to work with so many people, and that has helped me to achieve a lot more than if I was doing it by myself. So you have to collaborate. So those are the things I want to tell young people. Those 5 C's, keep them at the back of your mind, hold them there to you, and they will help you in this journey. But you must start with your why and get it right. So I think those are all the questions. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being able to share some of my thoughts. I look forward to being a part of something like this in the near future. Thank you, and God bless.